In the quiet village of Umuahia, where traditions ran deep and the wisdom of the elders guided every decision, lived a widow named Mama Ifeoma. She was known for her discipline, kindness, and strong work ethic. Her compound was always neat, her children well-mannered, and her words filled with calm wisdom. One fateful evening, after a long day at the farm, Mama Ifeoma noticed dry leaves scattered all over her compound. Despite the darkness fast approaching, she grabbed her broom and began sweeping. Her children, still young and unaware of the village taboos, watched in silence. The elders often warned against sweeping at night. It was said to awaken wandering spirits and disturb ancient forces that lurked under the veil of dusk. But Mama Ifeoma, driven by her pride in cleanliness and unaware that this night would change her life forever, continued sweeping under the fading glow of a kerosene lantern. As the broom scraped along the sandy earth, the air around her began to grow heavier, colder. The crickets fell silent, and even the rustling palm trees paused in the windless stillness. Mama Ifeoma felt a strange tingling crawl up her spine but dismissed it. "It's just the evening chill," she muttered. But then came the whisper, a faint, soft voice that sounded like it came from the earth itself. "Why do you disturb our sleep?" it asked. Mama Ifeoma froze, her broom midair. She turned around but saw nothing. No one was there. Her children, who had been playing nearby, had already run inside, sensing something unnatural. Thinking she might be imagining things from exhaustion, she resumed sweeping. But with each sweep, the air seemed to shimmer, and the voice grew louder, clearer. "You sweep away more than dust when the moon is high. You sweep away memories. You sweep away protection." At that moment, her lantern flickered violently and went out, plunging the compound into darkness. Panic set in, and Mama Ifeoma rushed inside her hut, bolting the wooden door behind her. Her heart pounded as she clutched her children close. That night, sleep was elusive. Strange dreams filled her mind, visions of ancestors in white garments, standing at the edge of the compound, weeping. One elder, with eyes glowing like embers, spoke directly to her in the dream, "You have swept away the footprints of protection. Now, you must make amends." Mama Ifeoma awoke in a cold sweat, her body trembling. She remembered her late mother's warnings about nighttime sweeping, and a deep fear settled in her bones. But the fear wasn't for herself, it was for her children, her home, and the peace that had always enveloped their lives. Something had shifted, and the consequences would soon become visible. The next day, strange occurrences began. The family's goats refused to enter the compound, bleating fearfully at the gate. Birds, once frequent visitors to her trees, vanished. Her once vibrant garden began to wilt inexplicably. Most disturbing of all, her youngest daughter, Edora, began speaking in her sleep, whispering words in an ancient dialect no one had taught her. The village priestess, Mama Ifeoma, was summoned. She examined the compound, sniffed the air, and closed her eyes in deep meditation. When she opened them, they were glazed with ancestral sight. "You have swept away your guardian spirits," she said gravely. "Now the forgotten ones have come to claim space. They are not evil, but they are lost. They were awakened by your broom." The villagers, now aware of what had happened, whispered in hushed tones, fearful and curious. Some advised her to leave. Others offered rituals. But Mama Njidika had a plan. That evening, Mama Ifeoma was instructed to prepare a sacred circle at the center of her compound using white chalk, cowrie shells, and 7 native leaves. At midnight, she was to stand barefoot within the circle, holding a broom made from palm fronds soaked in holy water. The ritual would not be easy. It required confronting the spirits and promising to respect their peace. The moment the clock struck midnight, Mama Ifeoma stood within the circle. The wind howled around her, though not a leaf moved outside the compound. Shadows danced around her as ghostly figures emerged, ancient spirits, some angry, some sorrowful. They surrounded her, their faces gaunt and glowing. "We were disturbed," they whispered, "but your heart is pure." Mama Ifeoma, tears streaming down her face, apologized. She offered food, kola nuts, and prayers, begging them to restore peace. Slowly, the shadows began to retreat, fading into the night with a haunting calm. As the last spirit vanished, the air returned to normal. The crickets chirped once more, the goats bleated in relief, and a soft breeze carried the scent of blossoms. The next morning, everything seemed brighter. Her garden began to bloom again, the birds returned to the trees, and Edeora stopped her midnight whispers. Word spread throughout the village that Mama Ifeoma had restored balance to her home. The elders gathered and praised her bravery, and Mama Njidika announced that the spirits had accepted her offering. From then on, the villagers became more respectful of old traditions. They passed down stories about the night a widow's broom stirred ancient powers and how humility and atonement had restored harmony. Mama Ifeoma, though still strong-willed, never swept at night again, and neither did anyone else. Years later, Mama Ifeoma's story became a tale told to every child in Umuahia. Her wisdom, courage, and humility were celebrated in song and story. The sacred circle she once stood in was turned into a small shrine, where villagers went to seek peace and guidance. Mama Ifeoma herself became a revered elder, known as the one who listened to the spirits. She taught her children and others to honor tradition but also to seek understanding behind the beliefs. "Never mock what you don't understand," she would say. "Some truths are older than we are, and they protect us in ways we cannot see." The tale of her night sweeping became more than just a warning. It became a lesson in humility, in the need to listen to the past while walking into the future. And above all, it reminded the people that every action, however small, carried unseen consequences. The tale also opened a new chapter of spiritual awareness in the village. Mama Njidika began training young women in the art of ancestral communion, using Mama Ifeoma's experience as a powerful example of transformation. The shrine saw daily offerings, not out of fear, but out of respect. People came to reflect, seek healing, and reconnect with their roots. Mama Ifeoma lived to a ripe old age, surrounded by grandchildren who adored her and a community that held her wisdom in high esteem. Whenever the sky darkened and a broom was seen in someone's hand near dusk, children would cry out, "Remember Mama Ifeoma," and the broom would be set aside. Her story became more than folklore, it became a code of wisdom etched into the village's very identity. Perhaps the most beautiful outcome of Mama Ifeoma's ordeal was the spiritual revival that followed. Elders who once saw tradition as unchallengeable began to see it as a bridge, something to be honored but also understood. Mama Ifeoma herself taught that rituals without understanding become superstition, but rituals with understanding become wisdom. Through her, the village found balance between fear and faith. Young men and women began recording oral traditions, preserving the stories that shaped their community. Songs were written about Mama Ifeoma's night, and dancers mimicked the broom sweeping the spirits awake, always followed by a dance of restoration. Her once fearful night had become a symbol of light, growth, and the timeless lesson: respect the unseen. Moral of the story: even the simplest actions, like sweeping at night, can ripple into the unseen world. What matters most is the heart behind the action, and the humility to correct mistakes when they happen. Mama Ifeoma taught that courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to face fear with grace and responsibility. We must honor tradition, listen to the wisdom of elders, and remember that every act carries energy. Sometimes, when we disturb the past, it wakes to teach us something vital. In listening, in correcting, and in respecting, we grow not just wiser, but deeper. And like Mama Ifeoma, we learn that no mistake is ever final if we are willing to begin again, with honor in our hearts.